Jeffrey Epstein may not be around anymore to answer questions about his sordid sexual scandal and who knew what when. But there is one person who seemingly has all the answers, and that would be Jeffrey Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. She is currently serving 20 years for trafficking underage girls to the late sex offender. Maxwell's doing this at a cushy minimum security prison in Texas known as Club Fed. She was previously at a prison in Florida where she was reportedly miserable, eating moldy food. But now she's reportedly a lot happier, playing with puppies and getting special meals delivered to her, even getting as much toilet paper as she wants. Prison rules limit inmates to 2 rolls a week. We know all this because the prison staff is apparently now dishing the dirt to the media and leaking her emails to Congress. Joining me now is Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, Arthur Aidala. Thank you so much, Arthur, for joining us. So have you spoken to Ghislaine about what's happening in Congress? I mean, it would be only a call late today because it all happened today. But as you watch this bill come close to being passed, and then today, of course, being passed, and now on its way to the president's desk.
How are you? And it's great to be back on with you. No, I haven't spoken to Ghislaine. Number 2, I'm one of several lawyers who are representing her. My law firm represented her in that appeal of which you were just speaking of in the Second Circuit here in New York in the federal court. I don't believe Ghislaine is receiving any more special treatment than anyone else is in there. We
That's
do
not
live
what
in
the
a
prison
country
staff
where,
is saying.
yeah, I know, but yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and the prison staff says a lot of things to a lot of people that are not accurate. Prison staff, and I'm going to speak in sweeping generalities, are also the people who sneak the cell phones into the prisons that shouldn't be there, sneak the drugs into the prisons that shouldn't be there. That may be a fraction of the prison staffers, but don't believe everything you hear. Ghislaine was in a facility in Florida where I visited her, and I got in trouble for, I don't know, I forget if I had a paper clip or something that I wasn't supposed to have, and I was reprimanded. She's in a federal prison camp. Just so you know, there are camps, and that's what they are. There's just less restrictions, but you can't leave. There are all kinds of rules. They tell you when you wake up, they tell you when you go to sleep, they tell you what you're eating. So there's what the congressman just said about the politicization of this case could not be any more accurate. I know that we're going to talk about the victims. I believe 150 people have gotten $121 million from the Epstein Victims Fund. It's not like they have gone unnoticed. It's not like they have gone unaccounted for. You have to understand, I have a very bad taste in my mouth because I represented Alan Dershowitz, where Virginia Giuffre accused him of horrible, horrible, horrible things to one of the greatest lawyers this country, this world has ever known, a 50-year professor at Harvard University, and she destroyed him and his reputation only to then say, I may have made a mistake. The 6 different times I said he raped me in 6 different locations, it wasn't him. Sorry
right,
about
but
that.
That's just, Arthur, that's one victim. I mean,
but she's been the face. Virginia Giuffre has been the face.
We are now seeing the faces of dozens and dozens, perhaps hundreds of other victims. Don't they deserve justice?
But they've got millions of dollars.
But that's millions of dollars. So the people who abuse them get to go free and live their lives, and I mean that's not the way it works. We don't pay people off.
The person who abused them allegedly is dead, right? They had to say that Jeffrey Epstein.
No, they say they were trafficked by Epstein to other people. Don't those men deserve to be held accountable?
Well, yes, they do. But the congressman is correct. There's crimes like this going on all over the world, especially all over the country. Right here in New York State, the only reason why this is such a hot button issue, why this particular guy is such a hot button guy, number 1 is because of Trump. Number 2 is because then you want to talk about Bill Clinton and Al Gore and all these other names that get bandied about. Here's what President Trump is correct in being cautious about. Anyone whose name gets associated with Jeffrey Epstein gets this black mark on them. Gets this like, oh, he's a bad person because he knew Epstein. Epstein knew a lot of people. He was very rich. He had planes. He had islands, and there were a lot of people who spent time with Jeffrey Epstein who did absolutely nothing wrong. But once their name is now associated with him, now they're a bad person. And
that shouldn't mean that the people who
from.
might have done something criminal should not still be held criminally responsible. I do want to ask you about these emails between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that were released by Democrats last week. The two are discussing President Trump being at Epstein's house. Epstein writes to Maxwell, quote, "That dog hasn't barked. Jeffrey spent hours at my house with him," meaning Trump. Maxwell responds, "I've been thinking about that." But she's on tape telling Trump's deputy attorney general that Trump was never at Epstein's house. Did she lie to the attorney general?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I've never spoken to Ghislaine about this. I do know that we do know that the deceased Virginia Giuffre has been caught in several lies. We do know Giuffre was interviewed by the Southern District of New York to testify in Ghislaine's trial against Ghislaine, and they found her so uncredible,
right? But this
so
isn't
unbelievable that they never called her as a witness.
We're not talking about Virginia Giuffre's credibility. She's
but
dead
we are,
now
to some degree.
No, we're talking about Ghislaine Maxwell's credibility because she's in an email saying, "I've been thinking about the fact that Trump was at your house." And then she's on tape saying, "Nope, Trump was never at Epstein's house." Which one is true?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question.
And because obviously the concern is she might be saying whatever Todd Blanche, there is the deputy AG, wants to hear in order to help President Trump and in order to get a pardon or a commutation. Is she applying for a commutation or a pardon?
If not through my office, if Ghislaine Maxwell had the keys to the prison where she was, where I visited her in Tallahassee, and you know what I mean when I say the keys to the prison, any human being in her condition under her conditions would use those keys. She was abused during her trial period, abused. She didn't sleep for days. That's on the record. She wasn't fed for days in the United States of America, in New York City.
So you're
in the
saying
middle
she
of
would
her
say
trial, she
anything
was
to get out of
falling
there?
asleep at the table. She was abused. If Sammy the Bull Gravano decided to testify against John Gotti to get himself out of prison, I would think that someone like Ghislaine Maxwell, if she had the goods on all these people that everyone thinks, her self-preservation instincts would kick in and she would do what needs to be done. But maybe, as she has said, these are all fairy tales. Jeffrey Epstein is dead and he can't defend himself. And if I defend myself, I get thrown into solitary confinement. So maybe this has become some political hot potato that's been going on for years and basically has taken on a whole life of its own.
Arthur Aidala, thank you. So you didn't answer. Is she applying for a commutation? Is she preparing?
I said not through my office.
Not through your office. Okay. All right. Arthur, thank you. I appreciate you coming on and answering all the questions.
It was a pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.